My father said it so casually that half the table didn't even realize it was an insult. We were at my sister's promotion dinner. Crystal glasses, polished smiles, conversations about investments and expansion plans floating through the air. Someone turned to me. "So what are you working on these days?" Before I could answer, Dad chuckled. He's still figuring life out. Numbers were never really his strength. A few people laughed. Mom added gently, "He was always the creative one, not very analytical." Creative, that soft replacement word for incapable. I felt every eye on me, some amused, some sympathetic. The dumb one, the safe comparison, the sibling who made the other look brilliant. I could have defended myself. I could have talked about the financial modeling certifications I was finishing, the data projects I was building late at night, the market simulations I ran until 2 a.m. But I didn't. I took a slow sip of water, calm, because I realized something in that moment. People don't see your potential. They see the version of you that makes their story comfortable. In their story, my sister was the prodigy. I was the contrast. Dad leaned back in his chair. "We'll keep him away from serious financial decisions. Less risk, more laughter." It wasn't cruel. It was confident. They were confident I had limits, and that confidence was my advantage. That night, I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't send a long message explaining myself. I went home, opened my laptop, reviewed the prototype I'd been building quietly for months, a predictive finance tool designed to spot volatility patterns before public reports caught them. No one in my family knew about it. No one needed to. While they were discussing me at dinners, I was studying behavioral finance. While they compared achievements, I was building leverage. 3 years passed. I kept my head down. Entry-level analyst. Long hours. Small office. No applause. Then a major investment group reached out. Meetings turned into negotiations. Negotiations turned into due diligence. Due diligence turned into an acquisition offer. When the wire confirmation hit my account, it was just a notification. $47 million. No fireworks. No dramatic soundtrack. Just a number. That same week, Dad called. "Come over for dinner. We need to talk about your future." I went. Same table. Same seats. Dad started carefully. "You need stability. A long-term plan." I placed my phone on the table and slid it toward him. Acquisition press release open. My name listed as co-founder. The amount clearly stated. Silence. My sister leaned forward. "This is your company?" "Yes." Dad read the number twice. For the first time in my life, he didn't correct me. He didn't interrupt me. He didn't define me. Mom's voice was softer than I'd ever heard it. "We didn't know." "I know," I said calmly. No anger. No speech. "No, I told you so." I was never bad with numbers. I added quietly. I just didn't compete for attention. No one laughed this time. Respect isn't demanded. It's realized, usually too late. They thought I was weak because I was quiet. They didn't know I was simply busy becoming strong. Time moved the way it always does, quietly, without announcements. On the surface, nothing about my life looked impressive. I took an entry-level role at a mid-sized data analytics firm. Small desk, modest salary, no fancy title to mention at family dinners. Perfect, because when no one expects much from you, you gain something rare: space. Space to learn without pressure. Space to fail without headlines. Space to improve without commentary. I became the quiet one in the office too, the one who listened more than he spoke. While others debated strategies loudly in meetings, I paid attention to patterns behind the numbers. I stayed late, not to impress anyone, but to understand things deeply. Markets weren't chaotic. People were. Fear spiked trends. Ego distorted projections. Overconfidence created blind spots. Once I understood behavior, numbers became predictable. Meanwhile, back home, the narrative about me never changed. At family gatherings, I was still figuring things out, still trying different things, still the safe comparison. My sister's achievements were announced proudly. Promotions, panels, interviews. I clapped. I congratulated her. Calm. But I didn't mention that I had started building something of my own. It began as a side project, a predictive financial tool that identified volatility signals before public indicators reacted. I built it quietly at night, tested it with small data sets, improved the model over months. No social media launch, no dramatic reveal, just iteration. 2 years later, I brought in 2 partners from the firm. We refined the platform, ran simulations against historical crashes. The results were consistent. Early detection, measurable edge. We formed a company. Still no announcement at home. Because this was never about proving them wrong. It was about building something right. Around the same time, my parents' business started facing pressure. An aggressive expansion plan didn't perform as expected. Liquidity tightened. Stress replaced confidence. Dad's voice on calls felt different. Sharper. Less certain. Mom messaged occasionally. Hope you're stable at least. I am, I'd reply. I never mentioned investor meetings. Never mentioned that our client base was growing quietly. Never mentioned the valuation discussions happening behind closed doors. The contrast was subtle but real. They operated in noise, meetings, debates, visible decisions. I operated in silence, data, probability, patience. Then one afternoon, after months of negotiations, a major investment group sent a formal acquisition proposal. Due diligence began. Audits, legal reviews, performance verification, every number examined. We didn't celebrate early. We didn't assume success. We kept working. When the final agreement came through, there was no dramatic moment, just a signed document and a confirmed transfer schedule. The morning the wire hit, I was alone in my apartment. $47 million. I stared at the screen for a long time, not smiling, not shaking, just steady. It wasn't victory, I felt. It was separation. Separation from every label that had once felt permanent. That same week, Dad called. Come over for dinner. We need to discuss your future. His tone carried concern. Advice ready. Guidance prepared. They were still evaluating my potential. I had already closed the deal. They were still talking about who I might become. I had quietly become it. They were still talking about me. I was already far ahead of them. Dinner felt the same. Same table. Same chairs. Same unspoken hierarchy. Dad cleared his throat. You need stability now. A real long-term plan. I nodded. Then I placed my phone on the table and slid it toward him. The acquisition announcement was open. My name listed as co-founder. The number visible. $47 million. Silence replaced certainty. My sister leaned forward first. This is yours. Yes. Dad read it twice. The confidence in his posture softened into something quieter, recognition. Mom spoke gently. We didn't know. I know, I said. No anger. No speech. No victory tone. I was never bad with numbers. I added calmly. I just didn't compete for attention. No one laughed this time. I didn't reclaim an old seat at the table. I didn't need to. They thought I was weak because I was quiet. They didn't know I was simply busy becoming strong.